What's up everyone, Boomslangg here with another video about Horizon Zero Dawn. Today we're going to be breaking down the latest gameplay trailer that was featured at the Sony briefing. And so basically I'm just going to go through this trailer, kind of pick out some of the things that are a little bit more detailed, something that tells us a little bit more about the game. I'm not going to go into a full in-depth analysis or where you just speculate on what the things are going to be doing, what's kind of going on. I'm going to leave that for when the game has more information. I'd rather just keep it real, kind of give you guys an idea of what to expect from this game when you play it. And now that I've actually played the game, I can kind of give a little bit more of a clearer picture of what's going on and what to kind of expect when you actually get this game in your hands. So first off, this demo takes place a little ways into the game. Later on at the end of it, you'll see when she defeats the last boss that's in this little gameplay section, she reaches level 14. We don't know how many levels are in the game, but we know there's at least 14 in the game. With that, we know, like I said, it's a little bit further in the game. This is one of the quests that you will experience. And the first thing that we'll notice is she's wearing a different outfit that she has in the previous gameplay demos that we've seen. This is significant because they have mentioned that different outfits have different special benefits. They have different, almost like mod slots. If you've played the Division, you'll know that what the mod slots do. It kind of changes how your gear functions. So there's going to be gear, like loot that you can collect for your character for the customization of it. And the next thing is when I was watching this, I noticed the movement fluidity. And like I said in my hands-on impressions of this game, it is extremely fluid, very snappy, very responsive, really, really cool. Now a little bit into the demo, we see that she encounters a entirely new machine, when it's a brand new one that we've never seen before. These are called the Shell Walkers. Right after she sees the Shell Walkers, we get a brand new look at the new feature that features her little Bluetooth earpiece set that we saw in the Aloy's Journey trailer. And this is called the Focus Scan. This is a new feature that is tied to this earpiece, and it allows Aloy to see the enemy type, the level. It gives you a little bit of information about the game, like the weakness, the attack types of the enemies. Also shows you the different kinds of weak points on the enemy, like what it's weak to, like different attacks. Later on in the trailer, you'll see how she scans this Corruptor, and she can see how it's weak to fire and all these things. So the Focus Scan just gives you an idea of what these enemies are like and how to plan your attack and how to basically figure out how you're going to take these things down. We can also not only see these different types of attacks and things, you can see the different components that come with these machines. There's a deep crafting system in this game, so you need materials to go along with the crafting system, and that's where these machines come into play. But the cool thing about the Shell Walkers is the containers that they carry on their backs also contain very important crafting materials, as well as the machines themselves. The Focus Scan also allows Aloy to see weak points on the enemy so that you know exactly where to shoot and basically the most damage that you're going to do to these enemies. Now when she pulls up her quick select menu, you get to see the type of bow that she has, how many different kinds of bows she has, the count of the arrows in her inventory, and the crafting materials down at the bottom that's going to require to craft that particular arrow. Now, which I think is really cool, that there's going to be not only a regular crafting feature, but a quick craft, something that keeps it a little bit simple and a lot quicker. Since this is an action RPG, it's going to keep you out of menus and in the game a lot more, something that I'm really excited about. Now, as we saw her figure out where the weak point is on the Shell Walkers, she moves up, shoots it, and it dislodges the whole canister from the top of the machine. Now, we know from this quest that she needs some of these materials for something later on down the road. So once the container has been knocked off, she can move up to the container, look what's inside of it, take the loot, and then avoid attacks from the Shell Walkers, because apparently these things are extremely tough and they take a lot of damage. So even though she uses her new slingshot weapon, which is actually called the Shadow Sling, this is a brand new weapon, and this is basically a short range, high kind of damage weapon. I got to use this a little bit in the demo. I didn't get to see a whole lot of different instances for it, but it's cool to see that there's going to be different kinds of weapons in this game, not just the regular bow and arrow that we've seen in all of the gameplay demos. Another thing that's worth pointing out is that we get to see real wildlife, that is like rabbits and hogs and birds and things. So it's almost like there's this living ecosystem between the machines and the actual wildlife in the game. So I'm curious to see how much of the actual wildlife or how many different kinds of wildlife creatures that we'll see other than the machines. When she opens the map, you can see that it looks kind of similar to The Witcher 3's map. It shows a little bit of a detail, kind of what's going on, gives you some points of interest across the map. Now, we know some of these are actual herds of machines, like down on the bottom right. You can see that that's just where the Shell Walkers were. Up in the top left, you can see Those are the broadheads, which she will then go up and actually mount. The rest of the map, later on, we'll see that there are different kinds of points of interest. You could go on to speculate what these could be, but I just think it's cool to actually see that there are a decent amount of things on this map, and that it apparently is a pretty decent size. Also, within the main menu, you can see the crafting section of the menu, where you can then craft mines and potions, ammo, and upgrades for your armor. Like I was talking about earlier, how the armor is upgrade, or you can loot different kinds of armor, and it has different kinds of mod slots and things like that. So this is where you're going to go to find your upgrades and things like that. Also, within the menu, you're going to find your skills, your inventory, like I said, your crafting, your map, your quests, and your notebook. The notebook is interesting to me because it reminds me kind of like Uncharted 4, where you would go out throughout the world, find these different areas, put them down in your notebook. So I wonder if that's going to be a similar mechanic in Horizon, or if it's going to be something completely different, where you kind of take your own notes within the game, maybe highlight some different points of interest that you might want to go back and explore later. Only time will tell what this is exactly. We also get our first glimpse of the new mechanic called corruption. That is when machines become corrupted by something in this game. It causes them to basically go mad. It's almost like rabies in an animal. It just makes them go absolutely crazy, start attacking things for no reason. As we know, the Watchers don't attack for no reason. It's only when you disturb the herd of a certain animal that they are watching is when they will act defensively. So these are not an offensive type of machine. So this is one of the major storylines that is going to be in Horizon Zero Dawn. There is no more details other than there are basically machines within the world that can corrupt other machines, and we don't know where these machines called the Corruptors have come from, but it definitely piques my interest. I can't wait to learn more about these machines and see where this story leads. Next, we get our first look at the dialogue options. Now, this is really cool because, as we know, Horizon Zero Dawn is an action RPG, so it's really good to see that the RPG is true with this game in the dialogue options. Now, next thing I would like to know, and something that isn't known at the moment, is if we can make decisions within the game that will affect how the game plays out in the end. Are there several things that are going to affect how this character plays out and what happens in the end of the world, and how the story, like I said, finally ends up in the end? No details on this, but it is really good to see how there are actual conversation and interactions with other people in the game. After the interaction with this NPC, we get to see the first glimpse of Aloy taking down a broadhead and then overriding this. The overriding mechanic is a new mechanic that has been shown in this game, basically where you can hack other machines and use them as mounts. In a recent live stream, they also confirmed that Override does not only have the hacking in order for you to give you a mount, but it also has several other kinds of uses. There's a progression to it, and that there are other kinds of mounts within the game. After Aloy overrides the broadhead, we get to see her move from one area of the environment to the next one, giving us an idea of just how diverse this world is going to be, with the mountainsides, the rivers, and the machines grazing throughout the fields and things that we see on the left side, with the tall necks and grazers all kind of mingling together as she makes her way to the village where the Corruptor is. And then once she enters the village, she sees something really weird. You get to see a Watcher running away from this Corruptor. As the Corruptor attacks it, it spews out this red goop or whatever, and it basically overrides the Watcher and changes how it appears and how it acts. The Corruptor is weak to fire, so using the focus scan, we get to see how this Corruptor is going to be taken down. You get to use different kinds of traps and bombs and things. Any kind of fire weapons are really going to take this enemy down a lot quicker. It's going to be a lot more effective. And as we see this fight going on, we also learned that the mount can be called similar to how it's called in The Witcher 3 and in Metal Gear Solid 5. You have an option wheel down on the bottom left that you can't see in the game right now, but during the playable demo I had, there was like a little selection wheel gave you the option to cycle through between your health packs, and then you can also cycle to call your mount in. So when you press that button, the mount then runs towards you, and then you can hop on it from there. But in overall summary, the boss fights in this game look absolutely incredible. Machines have several different kinds of attacks. You have to use your focus scan to examine these machines, figure out its weak points, figure out its strong points, learn what kind of attacks it's going to have, what kind of attacks it's weak to, things of that nature. The dialogue seems to be immersive. I really hope that it stays the same way when you play the game, how Aloy kind of talks to herself as she runs through the game, not in a creepy way, but in a way that kind of draws you into the world. All the types of machines seem to be very unique. Like I said earlier, you have the different, like from the shell walkers to the tall necks to the thunderjaws to the watchers. Every machine seems to play an important role in the ecosystem, and I really can't wait to see more of these machines and things. And like I said, I'm going to do a breakdown of all the machines that we know about, because I'm really excited about all the different roles that they play in this world. Some machines, like the Corruptor, seem to be ancient. Now, like I said, this plays into the story element, so I wonder how many more of these kind of Corruptor-esque machines that we'll run into, and how exactly they function in this world. Are they all Corruptors, or do they play different roles? Do they attack other machines for no reason? I don't know. I guess only time will tell. And the world also seems very large. I was surprised when they pulled open the demo and some of the screenshots that I've seen that the world does seem to be pretty decent size. There's different areas within the map. It's not just a forest area. There's also snow. There's a desert. There's a rainforest. So that indicates to me that the world's going to be a very decent size. The combat is very fun. It's just, the whole game is very fun to play, and I'm really excited for everyone else to get their hands on it. Really excited to see some more gameplay. Now, I tried to break down as in a more realistic way. I could go into depth and kind of pick out all these tiny little things about the how you could tag your enemy using the focus scan, different things within the menu. But I'm going to save that for some later videos where I can go more in depth. This was kind of an overall broad look at the new gameplay, some new things that we haven't seen before, some things I think that are really exciting that people are really going to enjoy. So drop a like if you enjoyed this video, subscribe for more Horizon Zero Dawn content, and until next time, I'll see you in the next video.
Outcast! You came from nothing. You will die a nothing.